Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on January 1st of this year, I posted a video setting out 5 goals that I had for myself to accomplish throughout the course of the year. And then I didn't post a single update until very recently, which was not so much an update with respect to the goals, but more so a litany of reasons as to why I didn't update all year. So for today's video, I thought I would go through those 5 goals, let you know what I accomplished, let you know what I didn't, and why I think I didn't accomplish them, and what my current goals are and my plan for those. So I did write them all down here just because I can't retain this kind of information in my head. So let's take it from the start. The first one was that I wanted to accomplish a half-distance Ironman. There was one in particular, it's held in Niagara Falls, and that was the one that I wanted to do. I didn't come close to it. I absolutely 100% would have been able to do the swim leg of it. The bike leg would have completely wrecked my body. And the run, which is 21 kilometers, I was nowhere primed for that at that point because it's held in September. I wasn't even able to run 5K. I wasn't able to run like 3K consistently without stopping for breaks. So there was no way I was going to be able to do it. I think my biggest downfall, aside from the fact, if you watched my most recent video, you'll have an idea about this, but aside from the fact that it turns out I had dangerously low hemoglobin and iron and therefore very little oxygen floating around in my body, I also just didn't plan accordingly. I didn't have the discipline that I needed in order to cross that off my list. I didn't have a set training schedule. I waited way too late in the year to start training. And even at that, I didn't have any sort of real plan in mind. I would wake up and say, I've got to do some training today. What do I feel like doing? Narrow it down from swim, bike, run, and then just kind of go off of the cuff. If I was going swimming, I would just do laps back and forth. I didn't really know or really plan to do any speed work, any interval drills. If I was running, I was following like a couch to 5K plan. Biking, I would hop on Zwift and sort of just hope for the best. Did very little outside riding because it terrifies me, and it still terrifies me. I did buy a road bike in June of this year, and I am so scared of it. It is big and tall, and it is the proper fit. I did get a fitting done on it. But there's just so much going on when you're riding a bike outside. There's other cars, there's potholes, there's hills, there's wind, there's all sorts of stuff. And I am not a confident cyclist. And I know that I become confident by doing it. Experience is the best teacher. But I did not have the discipline to make myself get out there and do it. So what's the old saying? Fail to plan is a plan to fail. Yeah, I would agree with that. So the second challenge was really just 3 different challenges, and these were 3 different Conqueror challenges. So Conqueror Challenge is like a brand. There's all sorts of different ones out there, and they offer a variety of different medals with different distances attached to them. You can swim the distance, you can run the distance, walk the distance, hike the distance. Any variation of those or combination doesn't really matter. You just got to cover that amount of distance. I entered 3 of them. I finished 2. One is still ongoing, and I had set that one till the end of this year, so there's still some time, although TikTok, we've got about 6 weeks. So one of the ones that I accomplished was for swimming. That was to swim 33 kilometers in total, and I checked that off in, I believe, September of this year. I did a lot of long distance swimming this summer, really working on my endurance, and I did swimming lessons and all of that. Swimming became my main sport this summer, and for some reason, I had never panicked swimming in a lake before. Do it all the time as a kid, did it in my teens, never had a problem. Whenever we go camping, I love to go swimming. I love being in water. And then I swam in my very, very first triathlon, and it was only a 400-meter swim, not very long at all. And I had to hold on to a rescue boat because I was panicking. And I cannot explain why, because I can swim and I'm not afraid of water. But for some reason in that triathlon setting, it became terrifying. So this summer, that was a huge, huge part of my training, was just getting myself comfortable swimming in open water. And I feel that I have most definitely accomplished that, and that feels wonderful. I'm excited to do more open water races next year. I just signed up for the swim leg of a long distance triathlon with 2 of my friends. So we're doing it as a relay. I'm doing the swim portion. They're going to take care of the other 2. And honestly, I think we have a chance to do very, very well. They are very strong athletes. I am getting to be a strong swimmer. I'm certainly not the fastest out there, but vast improvement over the summer, and I've still got another 6 or 7 months now until that race, so I've got lots of time to work on it. All right, the other one was for running. That was to run 70 kilometers in total distance. This one I marked off fairly recently. It was sometime in October. Again, you just pick away at it throughout the course of the year. So every time I would do any sort of training run, I would look at the total distance, just plug it in, and it just starts to detract from it. I did accomplish that. Now for bike, I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking. So I set a 5,000 kilometer challenge for myself. I guess what I was thinking was that I was going to ride the bike a hell of a lot more than I actually did. That I was going to like it a lot more than what it turns out I do like, and that I was going to be training for that half Ironman. So I did not come anywhere close to that. I have dropped that distance down to 1,000 kilometers, and I still haven't quite got that. I'm about 250 kilometers away from it. The other 2, the 33 and the 70, those were set distances. I can't change those ones. This 5,000, it was like an open-ended 1 year long. It was like the 2023 Challenger medal, so you got to choose your distance. And I aimed very high and did not quite accomplish it. Now, granted, I have not ridden my bike, even on the indoor trainer, in probably 2 months. I just don't enjoy it. I hate the bike that I have. I hate the gearing on it. I hate the mechanism for gearing it. The low gear just doesn't switch over properly. I hate the seat. I have now tried 3 or 4 different bike seats, and I just cannot find the right saddle that doesn't have me seeing the face of God after 15 kilometers. It hurts my back, it hurts my knees, and it is properly fitted to me. I paid a stupid amount of money on a very cheap bike to get it fitted properly, and I hate it. So I haven't been doing the biking, but I've still got 6 weeks to maybe crank out 250K. It sounds like a lot. It's doable. I can do 50K at a time, so that's really only 5 rides once a week will get me through by the end of the year. We'll see. I'm just not motivated to do it. I just don't want to do it, but I do want to accomplish that goal, so stay tuned. We'll see. The next challenge that I set for myself ties in with the bike because it was related specifically to Zwift. If you're not familiar, Zwift is like an app where they have virtual bike courses, and they also have a running component as well, although I've never used that. But the courses will be like replicas of actual courses around the world. During the summer, they had courses that replicated parts of the Tour de France, and they also have their own virtual world that they've created. And there's a lot of different challenges within the program itself. One of them is to climb the distance of Mount Everest, which is 8,850 kilometers. I didn't accomplish that goal, but I did get almost halfway. I got about 48% of it. So if I can just find the drive deep down inside to finish these last 250 kilometers of riding, I'm sure I could crank out at least another 1,000 of climbing and get me over that 50% mark. That's kind of my goal at this point. Maybe just get to 51%. Just to say I got closer to the end than the beginning, but I did not accomplish that one. All right, so then the next goal was related to triathlon, and that was to complete a sprint distance triathlon in less than an hour and 45. In specific, this is the one that I was talking about in my most recent video, the Wasaga Beach Triathlon, and I did not accomplish that goal. In fact, I did it in 2022 in about 2 hours and 2 minutes, I believe it was, or 2 hours and 12 minutes. Whatever it was, this year it took me an extra 20 minutes. If I look at the actual breakdown of all the different stages of the triathlon, my swim was the same as last year. Last year, I panicked. I panicked hard. I seriously considered turning around and swimming back in after like 50 meters. I was trying to take my wetsuit off in the middle of the lake. Like, cognitive thought had exited and I was going based purely on instinct until I was finally able to like just calm it down just a little bit. And then I was able to swim. So this year, with the condition of the water, I'll take it as a win that it only took me 19 minutes to finish the 750-meter swim because it was very challenging. The bike took me a lot longer this year than it did last year. That's where I lost the vast majority of my time. It could be because of the bike that I was riding, even though it is a road bike. It's possibly the shittiest road bike that has ever been made. And you get what you pay for. I didn't pay much, and it doesn't do much. It's a shit bike. The run, I did manage to shave some time off of it, but I was having hip issues and a whole host of other things, so I didn't really save a lot of time at the end of the day, and my transitions were pretty much bang on this year as to what they were last year. So it was really the bike that killed me, and as we've established, I hate my bike, and I also don't really enjoy cycling. Maybe if I liked my bike, I would like cycling more, but bikes are goddamn expensive, and I'm just not sure that I want to take like $1,000 to $2,000 risk to find out that, no, it's not the bike, it's just me. You know what I mean? So we're putting a pin in the whole cycling thing, and we'll see what happens with it. So the last goal that I had for myself was basically to say yes to more, to not let fear and nervousness stand in my way. And so that wasn't specifically related to athletic endeavors. That was just kind of across the board. And I am quite happy to say I feel like I've accomplished that. I feel like I have been much more open and receptive to things. I have stuck with things a lot more this year. For example, I entered into an open water swim race, a thought that would have absolutely terrified me this time last year, even June of this year, that would have absolutely terrified me. And in the days leading up to the event, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why did I enter this? I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And then I really started to break it down in my mind. And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Instantly, you think you'll drown. That's not the worst that could happen. If I drown, my problems are over. Everybody else, it sucks for them. But for me, I'm like, hey, I'm fine. So the worst thing that could happen is almost drowning. Going through the act of drowning, that would be the worst thing. So then I started thinking, okay, what can I do to avoid that while still participating in the event? Because of course, if I sit on the sidelines, I'm not drowning. So I had a swim buoy. So I took that with me, and it's basically just like a little floating inflatable bag that attaches by a belt to my waist. I can turn around and hug it, hold on to it. It's like a little personal flotation device. So if I'm feeling panicky, that's what I can do. As well, my wetsuit is buoyant. I can just flip on my back and pretend I'm a starfish for a few minutes and just calm down. And then of course there are rescue boats there. So if it's really bad, I can wave my arm, they will come, take the swim cap off, wave it around, and I'll be fine. So it's like, there we go. What's the next worst thing that can happen? I come in last place? Well, I'm going to do that anyways. Like that, I honest to God thought I was going to come in last. Like I genuinely thought I would come in last. I actually managed to beat out some people. Shocked the hell out of me. And what's more, I set a personal best during that event. But I was like, that's nothing to be scared of. Being last doesn't matter. Like, so what if you are? Who cares? Does anybody come up to you and like laugh at you and be like, haha, you were last? Nobody's going to pay attention. Nobody knows who I am. And even if they do, what difference does it make? Coming in last at an event doesn't speak to my character. It just speaks to my ability to swim, right? So with that strangely sarcastic pep talk, I got in the water and I shocked the hell out of myself. So then fast forward about a month after that, I finally signed up for the very first fundamental course of mediation. So I am now officially on the path to becoming a certified family mediator, and that is something I have wanted to do for a very long time, but I have always let my anxiety and my fear of doing like the role play exercises within that training, I have always let that get in my way and stop me from actually enrolling. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it because I have wanted to be a mediator for so long. Just in case anybody's new to this channel, I'm a family lawyer by trade, so divorce, separation, all that good stuff. And I really just want to be able to help people I want to help people resolve their own problems, and court is not the way to do it. I mean, there's a time and a place, and it plays its role, and it is necessary in some cases, but I feel the vast majority of cases that go through the court system don't need to be there. And if we can get people focusing forward and coming up with creative solutions that work for them rather than trying to make everybody fit within this one predetermined box, that can only be a good thing. So I was still very nervous. I reached out to my instructor. Everything was on Zoom, but I reached out to her and just said, just so you're aware, the idea of role playing terrifies me. I can go into a room, I can conduct interviews with people, I meet with people all the time, and it's totally fine. But there's just something about that artificial setting, and there's just something about role play that it just makes me intensely uncomfortable. And she was fantastic. I still did the role plays, but she kind of helped sort of ease me into it in terms of the roles that I was playing throughout the multiple days of the course. So I don't know if there's a lesson in there. Maybe just let people know when you're nervous about stuff, and that tends to sort of take away the power of the nervousness. So I did that, and I'm very, very proud of it. So if I look at it, I accomplished about 1.7 out of 5 of my goals, which, if we're looking at it purely from a math perspective, it's a fail. However, if I look at it from a life perspective and a personal growth perspective, I think there's some success in there. I think it's important to set goals for ourselves. I think it's important to aim for those goals and to aim high and to really push ourselves and see what happens. Because even if we don't ultimately reach those goals, we've still come further than we were at the starting point. So even though I didn't finish or even attempt a 70.3 Ironman, a half Ironman, I did a lot more training trying to work towards that goal than I would have if I hadn't set the goal. I mean, had it not been for having a goal that involved a 2-kilometer swim, there's no way that I would have spent nearly as much time in open water as I did this summer, and therefore I wouldn't have discovered this underlying passion for it that I have. So I think it's important. I think it's really good to set these big, scary goals and to just go for it. Because even if you don't get it, you've still learned something and you've still accomplished something along the way. I don't think it has to be as black and white as fail or accomplish. I think sometimes the progress itself is the accomplishment, and the actual achieving of the goal is just sort of that cherry on top, that crowning moment. But everything that you do leading up to that, that's the character defining work. That is the habit forming work. That's the hard part. And so I think it's really important not to undervalue that work. So here we are, edging towards the end of November. Where are we at with goals? Well, I have kind of put the swimming on hold for right now. I do fully intend to get back into it, but right now, frankly, I'm finding it very difficult to get out to the pool because the hours are just ridiculous. So our local recreation center, the open swim, like the lane swimming, doesn't start until 8:45 at night, most nights, which just kills me. There are times during the day, but I work during the day. And let me tell you, I have gone to like the 7 a.m. swim sessions before, and those people are intense. They're intense to the point where it's just not a pleasant experience because you have people swimming up your backside. You have people telling you to move lanes. You've got people kicking you. You've got people, they don't give any Fs, none whatsoever. And it's just not pleasant. So right now, I'm just not putting the pressure on myself by like adding it to the calendar and saying I'm going on this day, because it's really hard to plan for how you're going to feel at 8:45 at night when you've had a full day of nonsense ahead of you, plus parenting all evening. Like, I'm exhausted by that time. So right now, taking a break. For right now, I've been focusing primarily on my running, and I've really been enjoying it and surprising the hell out of myself with it. It has come so far from where it was even like a month and a half ago. And there's a few things that I credit for that. One, I've been doing my physio exercises, and I still go for the dry needling every 2 weeks or so, and that's made a huge difference in the pain that I was experiencing in my hip. 2, I've had a bunch of iron infusions, and that has really helped. I don't currently know what my iron level is. I do have an appointment with my hematologist coming up soon, but I can tell that there has been a vast improvement, if only because I barely faint anymore. It was that I was fainting pretty much every time I stood up, but now it happens like maybe once a day, once every 2 days. Still probably not ideal. Like I feel like I probably shouldn't be fainting at all, but I'll take it because it was like almost a constant issue, and now it's very, very minimal. And then 3, I've been following an actual training plan, and I have been very dedicated to it. I do plan on doing a video at some point talking about the training plan and how I'm staying motivated and all that. So look for that coming up, but suffice it to say, I've been really enjoying it. My longest distance so far is 6.6, but I do have a 7K run coming up fairly soon on the calendar, and I'm oddly excited about it because that just seems so far somehow. So the goal is to get to a 10K, and the timeline for it is to get there by the end of this year. I'm just amazed that that's even like within the realm of reality for me. It's not even just like, yes, one day. It's like within a few weeks, I should be able to do that. By the end of this year, it's my goal to be able to run 10K. And then we'll see where we go from there. I have been kicking around the idea of training for a half marathon. There is one in May that's fairly local to where I live that we'll see. If we're talking big, scary goals, that's it. I genuinely don't even know if 21K is physically possible for me, let alone the mental side of it. But it just seems so far. But what an accomplishment. Like that would be such an accomplishment. We'll see. It's kicking around in there. There's been a little seed planted. Now we just got to wait and see if it'll germinate. We'll see. I got to tackle the 10K first before I start thinking about doubling that distance. But suffice it to know that it's kicking around in my head. And then the other thing is that I want to finish up my training my training to become a family mediator. That will take a very long time. To become fully certified, you have to do 100 hours of practical experience as well, aside from the courses, which take multiple days for each sort of unit of course that you take. The next set of courses that I'm going to take are in March of 2024. I do have a local lawyer who has said that she would grant me my practical hours. I don't know that I would get 100 with her, but I would get some at any rate, and I can take a course which involves all role play in order to get, I think it's like 80 hours you can get out of that. The more actual practical experience I can get, the better, just for like that real life, like sink your teeth into it kind of thing. But it's in the works. I'm so excited. I really am so excited about that. And I know that it's not going to be rainbows and puppies. I know you're still dealing with people going through separation, and it's hard and it's raw and it's scary for them. But I would love to play that role and just keep people empowered to resolve their own issues and just help them do that, rather than take this partisan side and argue and fight and just deal constantly with conflict. Because honestly, it's breaking my spirit. It is slowly draining me, and I just cannot keep up with that anymore. I don't want to exit the field, but I just want to take on a different role, and one that feels right for my heart, because litigation is not it. So, okay, well, before I wrap it up, I just confer with my notes, and there is one other goal that I have for myself, and that is to start weight training. So I should say strength training, because I don't want to like bulk up and get really super muscular, but I want to put myself in as best position as possible for accomplishing these running goals and the swimming goals that I have for myself for next year. And strength training is going to be vital in that. But the gym causes so much anxiety that any time in the past that I've gone, I go in there fully intending to, get strong. And then I panic because I don't know how to do anything, and I just end up on the treadmill. So I have my fitness buddy. I have my husband who's also starting to get into the fitness side of things as well. I want to go to the gym with them. They can be my icebreakers. They can be my little emotional support friends. And then I will get over it and I will start being able to go on my own. Now, I'm not talking like every day, even just once or twice a week, just to supplement all the running and really to give my body the best chance of being able to sustain the distances that I want to do. So I'm not going to be like bulking and cutting and all that. I don't even really know what that means. So I'm not doing any of that, but I want to gain some confidence in the gym so that I can go in there, do my sets, get back out. I need a little bit of hand holding to get in there. That's all there is to it. And I will own that. I am socially fragile, shall we say. Social anxiety is a thing, and I most definitely have it. And then you put that in the context of a gym and it becomes this big scary thing. But I'm going to slay that dragon one way or another, and I will let you know when I do. So there we have it. That's where I'm at. That's what I managed to accomplish in 2023. What I have my goals on next. I would love to hear from you. Something that you've accomplished, something that you're working towards, or have you set a goal, not gotten it, but still appreciated the process and the attempt? Let me know down in the comments. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.